Hey and welcome. These are the 5 categories of con addiction and why it's important to understand the category you're in if these 7 practical, realistic steps to regain your freedom must work for you. Never mind, the seed is just to, get under the radar of YouTube's ruthless bot. Nothing to see here, but move on. But jokes aside, from personal experience and the mountain of research data out there, I kind of emphasize how important and serious this issue is. But the fact that you click this video means you already understand that. And just to give you a perspective, there is right now a bit of disagreement in the medical community concerning the use of adult content and the effects it has on the brain, or how much of it is an addiction or not. But make no mistake, that isn't a reflection of the fact that it's not a problem, but rather of how serious a problem it is. One scientist once confessed that they couldn't carry out an effective research on the subject because they couldn't find enough people to use as a control group, meaning that enough people who had never watched adult content online, so they are sure that their brains are normal so that they can use them and compare now with people who have accessed this. So that's how serious this issue is. But let's get right in. The first category of users are what I can call natural users, mostly out of curiosity, and usually it's from a very young age, where you probably heard of this from friends or mates, or maybe a pop-up ad, or you stumbled on something online and you go and check it out. So it looks appealing, but you're not yet hooked. So you may go there occasionally just to satisfy curiosity or self-exploration, but it's not yet at a stage where you're going to miss a game, miss a party, or miss a rendezvous for it. The second category are the people who are in love. Deep in love with this stuff. So they're very proud about it. That's the whole point of in love. Okay, you may enjoy something, doesn't mean that you're in love with it. But the fact that you've accepted it, you're proud about it, you're willing to share it, discuss it in public with anyone who wants to hear, it means that you're in love and you've accepted these as your personality. And generally, these people is on the stage where we start considering an addiction in the sense of the word, because they can't stop even if they wanted to. That's where the definition of an addiction begins. Regular users. The third category are people who, unlike those who love it, hate it, but yet they are still regular users, meaning that they keep saying, this is the last time, I hate this, I want to quit this, I'm going to try this other thing, I'm going to try this program, and I hope not to ever go back there, but yet they keep finding themselves going back over and over and over and over again. And now this is where it starts affecting your relationships, start affecting your productivity at work, start affecting your social interaction skills. So just like the second category, this has become a central part of your life. But the only difference is you hate it. You hate yourself for using it. You can't quit even though you don't enjoy it, because just like every addiction, the more you use it, the more you need even more to get the same level of high like the last time. Like the previous category, you watch and you use in the most awkward of places, in school, at work, on the bus. And then it just seems like your life is spiraling down and you're losing all control. The fourth category are people who hate it, but you're an irregular user. So somehow there is a bit of self-discipline involved, or a bit of spiritual activity involved, that you can break free from it for perhaps an extended period, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and you think you're gone, you're free, you're happy, you're celebrating. And then before you know it, one thing leads to another, and then boom, you're back in the hole again. And most of the time, this category is even the most devastating or the most painful, because nothing hurts like knowing that you've made progress for several months, only for you to realize in the split second all of that progress gets undone. And then the last and most important category, the ultimate objective, is the freedom category. That means you've broken free from it. You've not just gotten yourself out of the environment, maybe through using tools and softwares that kind of block a lot of these sites, but you have gotten the thing out of yourself and you've replaced it with several other more fulfilling things, to the point where even if you stumbled on it, it triggers nothing, it means nothing. And this is at the point where you're empowered to start helping others break free. Now, mind you, the fifth category isn't the category that you're married, because many people think if only they were in a relationship or if only they got married, this will be over. But the vast majority of relationships and marriages are being destroyed today because of this same addiction. And that concerns both men and women. No one is exempted here. So in which category do you see yourself in? You see, if you're in the first category, perhaps you're just curious, you're not yet hooked. It might be easy to really go and understand how consequential and devastating this thing is, so that you withdraw before things get worse. If we're going to look at the 7 steps to break free, it's important we also understand why we use these things, because that is a critical key in actually breaking free. Research data shows that the overwhelming majority of people use online adult content as a mood fixer. So either people are dealing with depression or trying to handle the disappointments in their lives, the failures, or they are disgruntled about one thing or the other. And this thing just shows up as an easy and accessible thing to relieve the anxiety and, relieve the stress and all of that. And then there's the use for general sexual satisfaction. Then there's the use out of sheer idleness and boredom. and sometimes due to a history of past physical or sexual abuse. That list is not exhaustive, but it's important that you first of all go out to understand what are the triggers in your life to bringing about the desire for this thing. Because most of the times we try to go and address the issue of not opening the site, not clicking the link, whereas we should backtrack, backpedal, and try to address the root, what actually solicits the desire in the first place. No desire, no need to resist doing anything. So let's get into the 7 steps to regain your freedom and liberty. The first step is to embrace yourself and acknowledge your challenge. You see, if you're going to fight this thing, you have to be your own ally, especially for the second and the third category where you hate that you're doing this thing. Most of the times people end up also hating themselves. You curse yourself, you insult yourself every time you stumble. And some people even go as far as trying to punish themselves. Okay, I'm not going to get this. I'm not going to enjoy this again. I'm not going to that place again. All those things only make the situation worse, because in so doing, you're developing low self-esteem, low self-confidence, low self-worth, which are critical for you to develop a discipline to fight back. So take a moment to separate yourself from the addiction in your mind. You're a wonderful person. You're an amazing person. You have great potentials. As a matter of fact, this thing is just coming in to kill those potentials by getting you caught up in a mud that wouldn't allow you explore all the things you're capable of exploring. So that in and of itself is evidence that you actually have something to explore. So accept yourself, embrace yourself, then acknowledge that you and yourself have a common enemy to beat, and you're going to beat it. Step number 2 is simple. Just like the third and the fourth category, you need to hate this thing, because you can't break free from something that you love and you enjoy. And the only way to hate it is to understand fully what it's costing you. Your social interactions, your relationships, your marriage, all the skills and talents and activities you could have been engaging in. And for even younger people, your full mental development. So you must declare it an enemy of the state. The third, you have to look at those personal issues, those triggers. Very important. Why are you depressed? What can you do about your depression? Why are you idle? Can you fill in your schedule with a lot of activities, especially group activities, that will keep you occupied? Do you feel a sense of emptiness and you lack purpose? Find a place to volunteer, serve other people, commit and dedicate your life for something bigger than yourself. Get counsel and perhaps therapy for past traumas or any potential conflict in your life. You need to consciously and deliberately decide to turn your life around 180 degrees. Get engaged in community activities, get books that you're going to read, get a gym membership, exercise as much as you can. You may have all this energy boiling in you, just looking for an avenue for you to redirect it to. So look for avenues where you can redirect your energy. Start a new business, start something challenging that will require the best of you. And if you're fully engaged on something valuable and productive, you kind of suffocate the triggers that will push you towards the direction you don't want to go. The next step, take out the secrecy factor. Whatever you hide in secret, in darkness, proliferates and it grows bigger and bigger. But once you bring it out to light, light destroys darkness. So open up about your challenges and struggles. Be honest to someone you can trust, to someone who can counsel you, to someone who can guide you, someone you're comfortable around. And this is not easy. This might be one of the most difficult parts, but this is the test of whether you really want to break free or not, because it's no longer about you the moment you decide to start sharing your personal struggles with others. At that point, it becomes about the problem and the problem alone. So you have exposed the problem, you have distanced yourself away from it, and now you have people that can keep you accountable. That means you report to, okay, today I stumbled on this is how I handled it. What should I do tomorrow to be better? Okay, this is the commitment I'm taking to do this, to do that, to get better. You make tremendous progress towards freedom when you start boldly talking about it in public and trashing it and distancing yourself from it, because it's psychological. The moment you're talking about it and you're pushing it away, your brain is registering subconsciously that you don't want to associate with this thing. But once you keep hiding it in secret, what your subconscious mind is getting is, this thing is mine and mine alone. I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to let go. The fifth step is very tricky and it's used a lot by drug lords, which is to dissociate your mind from the addiction. You see, you've probably seen it in movies or you've heard the stories where to be a successful dealer in these things, you cannot afford to be a consumer. So in essence, to succeed, you have to step higher in your frame of thinking. You have to start seeing it as a peasant something. And that's how these lords see the things, that the peddle, that they are the lord, they are the big guys, and they don't meddle around with this thing. It's for the peasant. And that's how they stay on top. Which means that you need to start reverse engineering the objectives of this industry and start seeing exactly what they are trying to get you into. this point you're having kind of a scientific or a researcher's cap, where instead of getting soaked into it, you're rather fascinated at understanding the inner workings of the thing. So it's either you're the slave inside, or you're the person outside understanding how it works. And if you're the person outside, it means you can direct it in whatever direction, and obviously in this case, not into your life. Of course, the next step, which only makes sense once you've applied the other previous steps, though most people go for this first, is to restrict ease of access. You see, restricting ease of access only becomes even more effective as another layer of protection, not the only layer of protection. So all these other things must be in place for you to now get softwares that you install on all your devices, on your children's devices, to kind of limit access to these things. Once you start breaking free, you have what is called withdrawal symptoms, where for a split second you may feel like, if I don't get this now, I'm out. But that just lasts for a few seconds. And you see, if you're able to have access to the issue in those few seconds, then you're going to fall again. But if you've already replaced a lot of idleness in your life with other activities, it means that in that split second, before you even try to go through all your roadblocks and obstacles and protections, you probably got exhausted and just diverted to something else that is going to be more resourceful and productive. And of course, I kept the best for the last. This is perhaps the most important step, and that is salvation. Out of personal experience and countless testimonies, it's amazing what receiving a new nature from God can do in your struggle with your sin nature, because first and foremost, this addiction only anchors on the sin nature that is in you. And so many people do testify that receiving Christ, really repenting of their past life and having this Spirit of God in them, actually rewires their desires and interests, completely eliminating every form of craving for adult content. It's important to note that several researchers actually classify con addiction as a mental disorder, especially when it gets to the point where you start neglecting your own self and personal needs to get a high. And over the years, mental disorders have been associated with paranormal activities, in other words, spiritual things, demons. And so it's obvious that addressing a spiritual problem with a spiritual solution, that is receiving Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, will be most effective. Now, don't get me wrong, not all addiction in and of itself is spiritual, but it can go as far as transcending into opening doors for spirit forces to have effects in your life. Because you can tell me you know this pastor or that church leader that has also struggled with this addiction. That's why there are 7 steps. There are the steps that have to deal with your personal discipline. There are the steps that have to deal with you addressing traumas. You know, if you receive Christ and you're saved, it doesn't automatically mean that the sexual abuse you had 20 years ago is automatically wiped out. You still need to process that. However, having access to spiritual backup makes the process even easier. So that is it. Remember, you are amazing, you're wonderful, you are awesome, okay? This is just a test of your strength. And what are you going to respond? You can't wimp and throw your hands up and give up. No, you're going to rise and manifest that strength that this addiction is trying to test. So embrace yourself, but separate yourself from the challenge. Don't tolerate it, hate it. Go into your personal life and address all the loopholes and all the issues, the idleness. Get engaged, get involved, get passionate. Find ways to burn out the excess energy you have. Next, go public, eliminate the secrecy factor, and after that, be the boss, okay? Don't be the slave. Dissociate yourself from me and try to think like the boss and see how they are using this on you. Then reduce as much as you can the ease of access. And finally, look up to God, your Heavenly Father, because indeed He still loves you, He still cares for you, and He doesn't think any different of you, irrespective of how deep down you think you may have fallen. So let me know in the comments below, have you tried any of these steps and what results have they gotten you? If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, hit that bell if you're new here. Thank you so much for watching, and I trust that you are going to break free from these and start helping others also break free. A big shout out to our Patreons for helping us create content like this. You too can support the channel, the link is down below. And until the next one, keep breaking free.